Oaxaca, Mexico, Tuesday the 27th of April 2010, 2:50 p.m. local time. A caravan of vehicles was headed for the autonomous municipality of San Juan Copala, carrying food, water and other essential items. Before long, 2 members of the caravan would be dead, the rest either desperately wounded or running for their lives. The region has been under blockade by pro-government paramilitary since January, but the indigenous Triqui people have been subjected to violent attacks ever since they announced their autonomy in 2007. The Declaration of Independence was preceded by a peaceful uprising, which almost swept Governor Ulises Ruiz Ortiz from office. This was a period of widespread turmoil in Oaxaca. The 2006 teachers' strike was a reaction in part to neoliberal policies which strove to privatize the education system. The protest was emblematic of a wider struggle to protect the right to free education, which is enshrined in the Mexican Constitution. Paramilitary groups associated with the Institutional Revolutionary Party, or PRI, the ruling political party in Oaxaca, attempted to crush the protests with brutal violence, killing numerous civilians, including Indymedia journalist Bradley Rowland Will. In San Juan Kapala, the so-called Union for the Well-being of the Triqui region, a group with ties to the PRI, has committed murder, kidnap, extortion and other acts of terrorism against the Triqui since they declared their autonomy. Amongst the caravan were school teachers returning to the region several months after they were denied access by members of the paramilitary group. There were also human rights campaigners and community workers, 2 journalists and several international observers. One of the group was Beatriz Alberta Cariño Trujillo, also known as Bety. Bety was a member of the indigenous Mixteca people and director of Cactus, the Centre for Community Support Working Together. I heard Bety speak in 2009 at a conference in Dublin about food sovereignty and globalization. She described the role of Cactus in working to promote the growing of maize, the staple crop of Mexico, for local consumption, rather than using land for cash crops, which has caused the breakup of communities in South America for decades. The Mexican struggle, as she described it, is echoed in communities all across the world, where indigenous people struggle to protect and conserve their own native crops in an era of globalized food. I came away from that conference inspired and humbled by the irrepressible courage and integrity of this tiny woman. A year later, almost to the day, Bety would be dead, shot to death on a dirt road in Oaxaca. Before setting off on that fateful journey, the members of the caravan were warned by the leader of the paramilitary group that it would not be held responsible for what would happen to them. Undeterred, they set off, determined to bring some relief to the inhabitants of the besieged area. Survivors of the massacre report that the caravan was halted by a crudely built roadblock just outside the community of La Sabana. As the vehicles began to turn back, approximately 15 paramilitaries opened fire, fatally shooting Bety and a Finnish observer named Hirjantero Wakola in the head and wounding several others. An ambulance which arrived at the scene was also fired upon as medics attempted to treat the survivors. A number of those who attempted to flee the carnage were captured by the gang and threatened with death before being released. Bety, a mother of 2 young children, had been subject to intimidation because of her work on behalf of the indigenous people of Mexico. One night, armed men came to her house and attacked and beat her partner, Omar Esparza, a member of the indigenous agrarian Zapatista movement. The men later returned to threaten her and her neighbour with a firearm and said, We know where the bitches live, and we are going to make them pay before escaping to a local army barracks. This is the latest in a series of murders which have been carried out by this terrorist arm of the PRI in recent years. Virtually unknown to the world, state terror reigns in Oaxaca, and murder is carried out with impunity. Bety's murder has removed a considerable thorn from the side of the corrupt politicians of this bandit state. But this gang has also shot themselves in the foot, committing such a brazen assassination and allowing the rest of the caravan to escape to tell the world.